Hello there guys, how are we all doing today? We are going to be going into the first matchup of the day. Obviously, as you can see, it's One Pin versus Zero Tenacity here on Inferno. But this is the last day of the season. This is kind of do or die for all of these teams. And this will determine which teams can progress themselves to that playoff spot. By the end of today, we will find out the top 16 teams of the division. Obviously, it is going to be an absolutely amazing matchup here. Both of these teams potentially have already qualified, as One Pin currently 6-1, Zero Tenacity they're 5-1. Two more games to be played today for Zero Tenacity, but I feel like it's safe to say that both of these teams, they've got a fairly strong chance that qualification is pretty much guaranteed. But I feel like it is also going to be played for seeding, getting yourself an easier matchup in that kind of first round of 16 game. Really going to be beneficial. Zero Tenacity, as you can see, going to be starting on this T side here. One Pin besting their opponents on the knife. That is a lovely shot from Chris7. Will get taken down here, but now Azuwu on the Julies gets the first. The flash is good, finds the second. Oh! And Shine with a nice double, taking down AVN and Brute Monster. That is a great opening round here for One Pin. Certainly going to be happy with the result of that one. Obviously, just an eco at the moment. We are having some ever so slight technical issues, so might need to quickly restart. But yeah, nice opening round here for One Pin. Zero Tenacity, realistically, just on an eco, so we can't really expect much from them. Things are looking good. Yeah, they do just find that second round as well. Only one casualty being Azuwu, so not the biggest of problems. And obviously Leaf and Docs on the UMPs in the next, so this is going to be somewhat of a bonus round. Interestingly, the two UMPs can be played towards B here, so it could be somewhat problematic. Leaf has got that information now. Utah will be thrown. Obviously, Leaf already chipped down very low. Docs only with a smoke as well to play with, so the B defense is going to be tough. Azuwu trying to deal some damage towards middle. Obviously, Brute Monster's now been chipped down fairly low as well. Obviously, as we mentioned before, though, this is somewhat of a bonus round. Both Leaf and Doc still wielding the SMGs, and seemingly we are going to be seeing this apps pop here. Bomb is leaning towards A. It is just a fake towards B, but this could be perfect. Brute Monster able to find that opening pick. We've still got Azuwu on balcony. Interestingly, we'll be able to find one, but does still get taken down. The bomb will get planted. A man advantage here now for Zero Tenacity. Just going to be the save here. It seemed perfect, but obviously, the player's throwing utility towards B. That fake just drew the player into apps. And unfortunately for One Pin, unable to keep their success going. But we are being joined, obviously, by Charlie here now. How are you doing today, Charlie?
I'm not too bad. I was a little late to this matchup. So, do you want to give me a quick rundown of these first three rounds?
Yeah, well, obviously, you can kind of see how this round went. Zero Tenacity kind of took that kind of early advantage towards Banana, just kept one pin back. Obviously, Leaf and Docs with the weaker weapons and also chipped away, kind of forced them back on the bomb site, and then they just threw in that fake. The second round obviously was just an eco for Zero Tenacity, but the pistol was very nice. You know, one pin, they looked very nice in the pistol round, and obviously, as I mentioned before, the previous was kind of somewhat of a bonus, and you can see that they've in fact got a stronger buy in this one than they had in the last. But obviously, I don't think this match is going to be that important regarding playoffs. Obviously, Zero Tenacity 5-1, one pin 6-1. I feel like it's safe to say both these teams have qualified, but it's all about seeding for them.
Yeah, seeding's a thing that I think a lot of people underestimate how important it can be. We've seen in previous seasons teams sort of creep in that where we sort of think potentially they shouldn't. And then sort of just these teams near the top of the leaderboard can just get a free win, instantly find themselves in the quarterfinals. Obviously, no game is really a free win, but when you're sort of playing against the top of the leaderboard, you definitely aren't going to feel comfortable there. This round, though, one pin looked really strong, especially after the fact that Zero Tenacity won the previous round. We obviously still saw slight limitations, players like a Zulu having that UMP, no warp out for either side, but great response from one pin.
It's nice to see from them. Obviously, clearly favouring this CT side. I did mention in the previous how the loss was just a bonus, and the fact them having 4 rifles, potentially that one kind of slight advantage that they had with this round in comparison to the last. Brute Monster though, 1 versus 4, gone 1v3. Leaf with all the utility to work with here on this one pin side. Shine in a nice position to take down Brute Monster here as he creeps on through. We'll find him. And one pin, they destroy any kind of comeback from Zero Tenacity. They don't allow them to level things up.
Difficult situation now for Zero Tenacity. 3 of their players can buy, whereas Brute Monster kind of can, and AVN can't. But yeah, they're just gone for the buy by the looks of things. 3 AKs, a Galil, and that Mac 10. It's a risk, especially as one pin now. They sort of got everything they could possibly desire.
Yeah, obviously, the slight limitation, the lack of an AWP, but I feel like we've, look what Shine's done so far.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the thing that really separates a lot of these teams. I feel like we've seen so many incredible AWPers in the league, but the thing that really I feel like just gives the team that level of consistency is when they've got an AWPer who's also so capable, so competent on the rifles as well.
And you can really see the real difference it makes regarding these early rounds. I feel like obviously Shine might not be able to get out an AWP, well, might be able to get one out in the next, but I feel like won't be wielding the AWP until at least round 5, round 6. So the first couple buys, you're always going to be seeing the AWP, or very kind of, you're really, what's the word? It's very common to see an AWP wielding a rifle early on. So the fact that Shine's had this much impact just goes to show that, clearly can rifle as well. 9-0 currently.
Yeah, one thing we used to see a lot, in fact, yeah, that's a good point. We obviously, like you said, yeah, you do just mainly see these AWPs rifles in the early stage of the game. Something we sort of had a bit of a period where a lot of AWPers used to do it. It used to be, if you won the pistol round, the AWPer buys nothing but armor. So basically, yeah, they've just got a USP and armor. If one of their teammates dies or gets a kill, they retrieve that weapon. Potentially, it's less common now because I feel like I would love to see the actual stats, but I feel like force buys second round are so common now that you kind of just have a 4v5 if you're playing a player with just the USP. So maybe it's too risky there. But I did like to see it. I know Guardian used to do it a lot just so we could get the AWP out as soon as possible. Just to rival that full buy. Because obviously the point of it was, if they're recilling, you just play USP, you can still get some kills, get an AWP out there on the full buy, you've already got that advantage. But not really as commonplace anymore. I do miss it. Did love to see that. But in this one, 4 versus 4. 1v1 for Zero Tenacity isn't too bad considering the buy they got.
Yeah, Kyofe are able to retrieve that weapon as well, and it might no longer be a 1-for-1 as Fika seemingly going to find this one. Does take down Chris 7. They've got man advantage here. Obviously, these two weapons aren't going to be wielded perfectly, seeing as no one on the Zero Tenacity side has armor. Creep their way out middle. Oh, and Azuru's aware there's a secondary play. Saw the gun drop and then obviously saw it disappear. They know there's at least one more towards middle. Oh, and that is lovely from Azuwu. Gets the spray transfer and the bomb right out in the open. And 1pin, they find 5 rounds here. And Shine potentially could bring out the AWP. Shine's 10-0 right now, Charlie. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I've only ever seen one. What's the word I'm thinking of? The word where you don't die.
Unkillable.
Flawless game. Only ever seen one flawless game, and that was a CS YouTuber. Imagine if we see it at this top level of CS.
I don't think
it can pretty happen. Ridiculous. Oh, there's surely no. It would be unbelievable if we do. It'll probably be the best moment that I've ever seen in CS, but yeah, I can't imagine it's happened.
Has it ever happened on HLTV? Surely.
It might have.
It must have happened at least once.
I mean, the fact that people who've got 0 kills before, surely got to be people who've had 0 deaths. Surely.
Yeah, but I feel like
the interesting thing is.
No, you go.
Oh, yeah, go on. I was going to say last round, the fact that Zero Tenacity. The thing that's interesting about ZT is they can always sort of pull off a round out of nowhere. And just the fact that last round was just that weak buy, and they still made it very competitive.
Shine, obviously, has brought out the AWP in this one. Still unbeaten. It's 12-0 right now.
Yeah, Broom wants to try to give it a crack, but peeking into Shine like that is just too easy for him.
I think at what point as well, Charlie, when you have had a flawless game, do you start playing for the flawless game? Because obviously we mentioned 1pin, they're 6-1 right now. This game isn't, it's kind of for seeding, maybe a little bit more for pride. But at what point does Shine go, you know what, I'm taking the save. I want this flawless game.
I feel like we're a long way away from that, I'm afraid. I feel like it doesn't matter how many kills Shine has, it's just more about the rounds. And this could be the first death. Kyofo hold it, and Shine does indeed fall. Flawless game is in the bin after 7. Nice effort though, but 1pin still keeping their streak going. 6 rounds found. AWP has been retrieved. Zero Tenacity, you need to find a response soon.
And the money for 1pin's looking good as well. Obviously, you've got Leaf on 14k. So many weapons can be dropped. I reckon Leaf's going to probably drop 2-3 weapons over. The rest of the team will have a fair bit of money to work with as well after this one.
Yeah, it does drop over another own fort.
I thought he'd drop one to Azuwu as well. It's potentially a little less money in the bank than I initially perceived, but will just be this full buyout for Zero Tenacity. Obviously, the bomb plant and the loss bonus allowing them to bring out this buy. Shine playing towards B in this one. Posted up towards Banana with the AWP.
Broom wants to force back onto this rifle very soon after bringing out the AWP. He's a player that I feel like we've looked at so many times and just been so impressed by, but a trait we've seen a bit all too often, I suppose, is sometimes he starts these games very slow. And it does sort of leave Zero Tenacity in this sort of comeback situation a lot of the time, where they sort of need to have a hefty streak around, but Broom wants to, when he's firing, he's really firing on all cylinders.
Now, I'll be honest, Charlie, I feel like Broom Monster's the type of player who's either kind of tenfold above his teammates or right at the bottom. I feel like there's really no in between. Time and time again, you see Brute Monster absolutely fragging, dropping 30 bombs left, right, and center. And then sometimes, as you mentioned, just has a slow start. And sometimes when you do just have that slow start, it is really tough to get back into the game.
I mean, Brute Monster has been really impressive this season. He is the top performing player for Zero Tenacity this season, unsurprisingly. Obviously, we've seen so many games from him where he's really just taken the matchup by the scruff of the neck and really just dominated it individually. Maybe sort of he's starting to peter out a bit more to the end of the regular season, but either way, still has been very impressive this season so far.
Also, it's still early doors in this game. Obviously, 1pin are looking very dominant, 7-1 scoreline so far, and I feel like they could find the half off the back of this one, as it's really going to be a troublesome buy for Zero Tenacity, potentially just some Tech 9s and Deagles. But yeah, I feel like Brute Monster is always a player that you kind of look for and you'll see dominating, but how often can it be replicated? Maybe Zero Tenacity's success has come from the fact that Brute Monster, is usually kind of miles above his teammates. Because you can't, surely, you can't have someone stepping up every single game. There's always going to be a bad day at the office.
I believe this is Pajkus' first game for Zero Tenacity.
I was going to say, certainly looked like a new face to me. Oh, Kyofo.
Not sure if he's standing in or what, but that is the B-side open up. Issue is, look where the bomb is. These two Ts are nowhere near it. But if the CTs find this bomb, the round could still be theirs. AVN does find one, tries to pick up the gun, and Shine takes him down. All on Kyofo. Already found 2 so far, but only 12 HP.
Kyofo seemingly going to want to go in the back lines. Doesn't have enough time for it. There's 1:10 on the clock. It's a little unfortunate. Kyofo finding those 2 entries towards B. Near perfect, but just the rest of his team falling around him.
I'd love if he goes through amps here. Sort of flanks towards T-ramp. Doesn't look like that's what he's going to do, but I'd have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, the problem is Kyofo's health. 12 HP. Shine's brought out the AK instead of the AWP, and there we have it. Shine currently with a 14 KD.
Isn't able to save the AWP though. I mean, obviously you can still bring one out, yeah, but there is a big difference between sort of bringing out another M4 or something and bringing out the AWP. It can be a little bit costly, but either way, still money is building in the 1-pin bank. And Zero Tenacity, they're back on a full buy. Brute Monster, as the big green in his arms again, needs to step up.
I feel like this round really will determine whether that kind of AWP investment has any implications. Oh, seemingly aware of the player aggressing through the smoke, but Namane knows both players are reloading currently, and he finds the first. Spots out the second. Oh, that is great. The Izuwu, the cavalry has arrived. It's just 3 versus 3 now. Brute Monster opting for a bit of a risky no-scope. Doesn't find success yet, but Brute Monster still alive in this round and certainly can show off his prowess.
Izuwu is towards the B side, solo defender for now. Luckily applied just enough pressure that Zero Tenacity haven't barreled their way into the bomb site. Issue is no smoke to sort of block off any vision or stop them shine. If he peeks any further, Brute Monster could rip him out the server. Oh, timing's perfect. The Brute Monster just got off the angle. That's brutal.
Really tough. Izuwu. Don't even know how he could see him through the water. Still takes him down though.
I hate playing as that angle. I hate playing on that angle. But clearly not for Izuwu. I mean, I feel like Shine's been the talking point of this game a lot. 16-1, I mean, obviously really impressive stuff. But Izuwu, 14-6. In the kill department, not far behind.
Once again, aggression through this banana util.
An important man advantage for Zero Tenacity. They are obviously still on weaker weapons. There is an AWP in play on their side though.
Kyofo fairly low though, seeing as Brute Monster and AVN with these weaker weapons. I'm not too sure why Ficus hasn't just given Brute Monster the AWP. Obviously Brute Monster is deep towards Banana, but can just make their way back.
This, I don't know what they're actually really trying to do. Is Brute Monster just going to be this lurk here? Izuwu could really shut down this whole round. Finds the first, AWP towards Boiler. Seems aware.
He spots the gun barrel. Seen the AWP. Ficus going to be aggressing here. We do have a player in Grave. It's Chris 7. It's all about timing here. Oh, when he peeks, timing is to perfection. Trying to be aware of Ficus here, but still finds the frag. And there was a flash coming his way as well. At 1-pin, they found double digits here. This is just so dominant from them. It's clear to see why they're already 6-1.
The issue is, it's I don't know if it's just sort of a gut feeling I have, but something just tells me deep inside, One Pin cannot take their foot off the gas here. Because Zero Tenacity, we've seen them have plenty of comebacks before, and just part of me still believes Zero Tenacity just have that in their locker.
Well, yeah, I feel like in kind of any opponent you're facing off against in the Challenger division, you really just kind of can't slow up. I feel like you just have to keep on going. Yes, you've got a 9-round lead. Yes, you found 10 rounds on the CT side of Inferno, but there's nothing to say that Zero Tenacity can't do it themselves.
Players aggressing through apps for One Pin. Timing could be great for Chris Evan.
Brute Monster tasked with finding this frag. Takes down Shine. Like is finding Azubu. This is what we're on about, Charlie. This is looking great here. Docs and Chris Evan both find a killer piece. Two players fairly chipped away out on the Zero Tenacity side. But Doc's surely just going to be saving in this one.
Yeah, Doc's trying to keep hold of the orb. I mean, the money is good for One Pin, but it's not good enough just to throw away a weapon when you're only 32 HP. Especially the orb of all things. Zero Tenacity. Important round they needed. So, of what level do you think Zero Tenacity need to be? How many rounds do you think they need to get on this half? Do you think they need all the remaining?
Yeah. I feel like an 11-4, 12-3 scoreline's too far gone. I think a 10-5, still able to come back into that one. Certainly not out of reach, but I feel like any other scoreline potentially might be a little too tough. I feel like a 10-5 scoreline is still going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and that's if they sort of play flawless CS throughout the rest of the game here, or the rest of this half, and can't make any mistakes, or One Pin could just find that 11th, 12th, maybe even 13th.
Yeah, that'll be really disappointing as well for Zero Tenacity, because one thing they've struggled with so far, and I say struggled with, they've only really had 2 opportunities to do so, but it is stringing these rounds together. And I feel like this one is going to be an important one. If they're unable to find success in this, it kind of will just really show, Zero Tenacity's weakness here. We've got 4 players towards brackets. The flash comes through. Chris Evan towards Boyle. He's in a perfect position. He has been cleared, but he's able to find one. We'll just back away as well. Now the aggression comes through. We've already got a player very deep in library. Leaf might not be aware of this. Oh, but he still finds the kill. Namana will fall. Flashbang coming through now, and AVN with his sights set on apartments will drop the Molotov towards short to force Shine back. Shine and Chris 7, in fact.
Yeah, Shine towards apps can sort of just wait. Apply pressure. Keep people guessing. Just waiting. When's he going to swing out of apartment? You can see just the pressure that these players towards site and pit are getting applied.
The time's ticking away though, Charlie. They need to go through now. Leaf aggress through the smoke, able to find one. Oh, looks for the second, but they're going to have to get on the bomb now. There's no time remaining. AVN, although he's 4 HP, he's done so much work. Shine will be able to find the frag. Might not be able to keep himself alive though. Does just get himself to safety. But Zero Tenacity, they do string the rounds together. Zero Tenacity, they played that very nicely there.
Yeah, I liked how One Pin played it. It feels like they really isolated a lot of positions, just leaving them to guess and wait and sort of just dump util in. But yeah, like you said, time was not on their side. Maybe took a little bit too long there. And it did cost them. And money has been drained now for One Pin. You can see the util they've got. This will be their last fight. They're obviously looking to win it so they can just deny Zero Tenacity getting anything else.
I'll be honest with you, Charlie. I feel like One Pin, they were too structured. I know that might sound a little odd to say, especially on a retake. I feel like they kind of was potentially a little too cautious, and I feel like in those man advantage situations, you can kind of just overwhelm a bomb site. But as you mentioned, the time was ticking away, and they did just take too long. I feel like sometimes in those situations, after you throw that initial utility, you do just need to swarm the bomb site. But I think the fact they were a little too structured, a little too cautious, potentially cost them the round. This one though, Namana and Ficus have both been chipped away at a little. Namana's initial damage was in fact inflicted by his own teammate. Don't know if you remember seeing that, but a stray bullet Just hitting him in the back of the head. Look at the
It
util.
just shows how strong he is, the fact he can tank a bullet to the head. Could you do that? I probably couldn't.
Well, I always seem to get one tap, so definitely not. Nice from Shine, though. The confidence to play this underbulk position with the AWP. It is going to be this B hit now. Dox can dodge the flashes as he's elevated up. Will just drop down as well, and Leaf finds a kill onto Ficus too. Chris7 throws the flashbang in. Will blind the player in pool. Well, the spam's good as well as Kyofo dropped down to 46, and it's a 5 versus 2 now. Oh, it's all onto Kyofo, and Chris7 emerging through the smoke takes him down. One pin find 11, and you spoke about money for one pin being slowly drained. Look at the economy for Zero Tenacity. Really going to struggle in this final round here.
I mean, Fred, you've got to think of that. One pin made 4 players survive there. And thereby was... Weaponry was good. Utility very limited. Kits drained as well. It was all very bare bones what they had. It was a bit of a mirage what we saw. Felt they had good weapons but nothing else with it and still make it work. Brute Monster tagged down to 16 HP early.
And Azua will just confirm that kill as well. Ficus might have been hurt there, in fact. Was a player towards short, and he was tagged down by the Molotov. Namana, quite an awkward situation. Yeah, I think one pin, they could find 12 here, but they can't be... They can't be so irrational. They're just playing so freely, expecting Namana to get taken down there. And in fact, now Zero Tenacity, they're the ones in this man advantage situation.
Just smoke off CT. A lot of work is needed to be done here by Azuwu. Mana swings out. Azuwu spotted. Does take down the player. Is solo towards B. Here's a risk. Kyofo turns from the flash. An important kill.
I love that from Kyofo. Obviously, you've got to understand the aggression from Azuwu. They knew there was a couple players still towards A, so wanted to take that early control, but in doing so, just left Chris7 on his own in this 1 versus 3 now. Surely going to struggle in the spams. Oh, smoke's faded. AVN's going hunting. We'll confirm the kill. But 11-4, Zero Tenacity. They do get somewhat a bit of resurgence towards the end of that half, finding 3 out of the last 4 rounds. But I feel like it might not be enough, Charlie. I feel like it could already be too far gone.
It's tough to know. Because if Zero Tenacity can sort of continue that form that they had towards the end of that half, and like you've got to think, the most instrumental player in that round was Zamana. The fact he found both the players towards Banana and he was all on his lonesome, really had no backup at all, and yet found the kills. If he had a really tough game. I think probably the first 10, 11 rounds, he's on 1 kill. Really struggling. But stepped up in those last few rounds. If a player like him can continue to play like that, if Brute Monster can start to find his footing on this map, I mean, he's only on 3 kills. I mentioned he's the top performing player for Zero Tenacity this season. So he's another player that needs to sort of find a bit of form in this map, and there is a possibility. We mentioned Zero Tenacity. They're no strangers to a comeback.
And I feel like one pin, they do need to slightly respect that. They need to understand, okay, Zero Tenacity, yeah, we're doing well so far, but Zero Tenacity, they've kind of always got themselves to this playoff spot in previous seasons. They've always progressed to the next division up. They're definitely a team that you kind of look at and you realize, you know what, yeah, we've done well against them, but, you know, we cannot take advantage of this. We can't just completely overlook their success. 3 versus 3 now, though. Kyofo able to find one, has been dinked down to 14 HP, but Brute Monster in the back lines, slowly creeping his way. Able to find one, and will confirm the second as well. So Zero Tenacity, they take the pistol around here on the CT side, and a necessary one at that too.
A round like that from Brute Monster, it's 2 kills, but those 2 kills are almost doubled his kills. It's just those little things that people don't realise how much confidence that can just build into a player. Just to sort of eco 3k, a couple of pistol kills, whatever it may be, whatever Brute Monster needs to get back into this game, he needs to do it now and fast.
And the fact that they weren't really kind of scrappy kills, you know. First one being a 1-tap, I believe, and kind of just slowly tapping away at the other. It wasn't as though they were lucky or anything like that. You know, I feel like, as you mentioned, kills like that can really improve a player's confidence. Potentially that is something that one pin need to be a little worried about. I like this double long setup though. Brute Monster and AVN. Whilst we're finding this bracket's aggression, as we do see Ficus holding towards apartments from Grave.
T-side Zeus. What do you think of that?
What do I think of the T-side Zeus or just the Zeus in general?
T-side Zeus.
Well,
I feel like it's a lot more challenging to get kills on the T-side Zeus. Just because obviously with CT you can sort of play some close, sneaky angle, just catch off a T pushing, whereas I feel like you've got to, as a T, either take that fight or sort of hope that CT pushes into you.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I feel like the Zeus on the T side is certainly going to be harder, but I'm really not that much of a fan of the Zeus.
Oh, I love the Zeus.
Oh, I know that.
I'm a big
fan.
Well,
very well.
I still remember, not that anyone cares, but this was probably one of the highlights of my CS career, I suppose. Towards B site, 2v3. 1v3 it basically on Mirage. I jump up, get a Zeus skill, pick up the AK to win the round. I feel like the Zeus is underappreciated. It's a real gem, but Namana, he's taken a lot of control very early, and just that smoke denies any of these teams being able to push through. Dox doesn't clear top mid enough, and Brew Monster's got his teammates back. And just like that, Zero Tenacity, they show us a spark that I don't think we've seen in a long time from them.
Now OnePin really going to have to take some risks. And Chris 7 could get found here, somehow getting himself out of harm's way. Oh, but never mind.
Not for long, though.
The nade just landing at his feet. Just absolutely blowing him to smithereens. Will be Shine now to take some control. Spots the first, takes him down, sees the second as well. Slowly creeping his way back, has been spotted. Does get found by Kyofo. It's all on Leaf now. It's towards brackets. 1 versus 4 though. It's going to be very tough, but does find the opening pick here towards Long. That is AVN getting eliminated. Leaf is aggressing one step further. Does find one. Oh, but Ficus takes down Leaf there.
The sort of round though I love to see from a team like Zero Tenacity. It's the opponent's first full bite. You've got sort of weaker weapons. You've got an MP9 and the FAMAS in play. And they just take the fight, send the MP9 down mid. Great bit of team play and just a really nice way to get a 2-man advantage instantly when you're on a bonus round.
It's nice to see that they've still got kind of that creative influence here. Although they've had a really shaky start to this match, Zero Tenacity clearly are very ready for the CT side and they've looked great so far. AVN might get a little bit overrun. Obviously, Brute Monster holding down the boiler swing for now.
I mean, this game's already gotten significantly closer. You have to think at one point it was 10-1.
Yeah, it definitely has kind of become well within the realms of possibility. Seeing as Zero Tenacity have won 6 out of the last 7 rounds.
I mentioned Zero Tenacity, they're no stranger to a comeback. We could be seeing one right here. It's going to be a B-pop from OnePin, 2 defenders. Flashbang's going to be crucial for Namana.
Well, somewhat of a laboured spray there. Gets taken down by Chris 7. 4 versus 4 now. Obviously, still got to favour Zero Tenacity, but the bomb can go down. The flash will come through. AVN going to elevate himself up on this boost. Does find one. Lovely shot from Shine there.
Azu seems caught out, but still managed to find the kill.
He was.
Set of util on Ficus.
I think Azuu was just looking to pick up the weapon and then realised, okay, there's someone here, might as well kill him as well.
I don't think he realised the smoke was going to fade then, but the HP of OnePin is going to be a real limitation. This boost, though, could be everything. Kyofo does get found. The spam, so good, but doesn't continue it. There's no kit, there's no time, it's done. Doesn't pick it up, no.
Nah, there's no time.
I can't believe OnePin win that. That's unbelievable. Really incredible performances. I love that boost there. Takes Kyofo out the round, the play with the kit.
And you kind of mentioned how Zero Tenacity seemingly a side that can kind of find rounds out of nowhere. Seemingly, OnePin, a similar kind of story for them as they do just best their opponents on that half bite. A devastating turn of events here for Zero Tenacity, especially as they certainly were the team in the driver's seat. But look what it's done to their economy, Charlie. We've got a Deagle and an MP9 in play. Slight limitations regarding utility on certain players. But it hasn't stopped Kyofo. He's hungry, but he gets taken down, in fact. It was a near perfect opportunity for him to find the frag, and now Azuwu searching for a second.
Stayed on the docks. Drops him down to 60 HP. He's going to soften them up, but Tenacity still have a lot of work to do. Player is in apps, could be facing for 7.
Brute Monster. Oh, he spotted one. Lines up the shot. Very clinical there, but Chris 7 ready for the trade. And this solo A hold from Ficus is going to be very tough. Potentially might just need to opt for trigger discipline here. Because once he strikes, he's surely going to be found. Hasn't been spotted yet. Does get checked, but he eventually finds one. Well, gets the second as well. That is the bomb carry, in fact. Shine needs to try and help his teammate out. Does find the kill, but it's now a 2 versus 2. Fairly winnable here. Shine spotted one. Oh, he's trapped in a corner. Smoke will be sent. Has been deployed.
Yeah, Avian's just delayed so much time that and the Mana's been able to rotate in. Molly is going to force him back. No util left for this retake. No defuse kit either, so just gunfights are going to be everything.
And made very strong there. Azuwu needs to be swinging off. Oh, perfectly timed. He keeps his teammate alive. Shine certainly going to be praising Azuwu here. Oh, and the way that Azuwu and Shine played that, just both jiggling, consistently just wasting time there for AVN, and eventually the fight comes through and Shine can just swing out and get the trade.
Mana had a free kill on the Azuwu though.
He was playing trigger discipline.
I feel like he just didn't spot him. I think he just looked straight into the bomb site.
Very
Maybe that's a 4x3 player, like most of us.
Have you always been 4x3?
No, I used to be 16x9 for a long time.
I feel like it's always, I feel like you never really see anyone start the game 4x3 and then go back to 16x9.
Yeah, but it's just like the default setting 16x9, isn't it? So I feel like just most people, at least initially, sort of 16x9 players. But yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to switch back now. I think I just sort of stayed on 16x9 because I don't know how true it is, but I was always sort of told AWP's easier on 16x9 and it's like harder to rifle. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I was always told. And my rifling used to be so bad, so I was like, oh, may as well switch to 4x3. Hope that fixes something.
Could have been one of those kind of like those urban myths. It's like an untold kind of, you know, one of those myths of CS. I used 16x9 for quite some time. In fact, I was loving it. Always aspired to be as...
now, aren't you?
Yeah. 1280, 960.
I don't know what mine is. It's just a weird one.
What, 1152, 864?
That's the one.
That's the one, yeah. I used to be on that one. Have you ever been a black bars fiend, or...?
Oh.
Always stretch.
I could never play that. I mean, I'm amazed that... I mean, I think majority of people do, and you're one of them. I'm amazed that people play on low settings. I've always been everything high, and it's
high settings.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone plays low settings. Like you've got skins for a reason. Skins equal win. If I can't see my skins in 4K, I don't want to see them at all.
Why are you playing 4x3?
Good point. Okay, well, I guess I'll
you
shut up.
demon.
But one thing.
How dare you?
Match point found. These players have to save. And Fred, you have to think it's come from that Tech 9 round.
Yeah, this is kind of all spiraled out of control. Seemingly Zero Tenacity, they had somewhat of a grasp on this one, but as you mentioned, yeah, just the Tech 9 round potentially, you know, lost Zero Tenacity their strength in the game and also their mentality out of it.
It lost them any sort of finances, didn't it? It just completely broke them. They had to force with a weak buy. As soon as they lost that, it was an eco, then they just lost that full buy as well. So it's definitely one of the rounds that we're going to be looking at, just being like, that was the pivotal round. That sort of denied any sort of comeback from Zero Tenacity. Great effort, though, from one pin to keep their head up, keep fighting.
Charlie,
one more round required, though.
Is it safe to say that this one's over? 8 rounds behind, 1 pin on match point. It's going to be a tough comeback.
Oh, it's going to be a really tough comeback. But the question will be is how many rounds can Zero Tenacity win before that 16 will be found?
It's true. Obviously, round difference does take somewhat of an effect in regard to seeding. So even if Zero Tenacity can get, 4 or 5 more rounds, it's just that something extra, something to work with. Nice find from Chris 7 though. Does take down Ficus. AVN finding Docs as well. 4 versus 4 now. Any real benefit that one pin do have is shine on that AWP, and I say that as he gets eliminated, but Chris 7 and Leaf putting their team in a man advantage now. Namana rotating in towards long, might be able to take down the bomb carrier.
Does Namana choose to push through the smoke? Does Flash, he is swinging with it, and the low HP Zulu is all that sort of had to stop Chris 7. 1 versus 2 to close it out here.
I love that aggression and initiative from Namana. Realized he had to go through, and potentially that play could be the reason Zero Tenacity keep themselves alive in this one. Chris 7's done so much work in this round. I like the way he's playing this one. Just crept his way into apartments. Going to be coming from Boiler, and I doubt Namana's going to be expecting that.
It's all going to be timing on the jiggle. Namana spotted. Oh, he doesn't want to give up the bomb completely. Chris 7's got it, falling back, and Namana does best him. Another big round from Namana, really stepped up from how he saw him initially, but still, with all the kills found from one pin, Zero Tenacity, their finances are in a really tricky situation still.
We might just be seeing one pin consistently buying here, especially when these rounds do become really close. Obviously, limitations on both sides. We see Brute Monster wielding
willingly or the Mac-10 though, and or an AK could have been dropped over. So it is interesting that we've seen this. So it could just be a fast beat to try to end it.
Yeah, potentially could be the play. They have gone 2 for 2 here. We do have a player in the backlines. There's 3 smokes towards Banana Charlie. That Molly really going to struggle to get sent down. Oh, and 2 Molotovs for a Zulu. Not a single one working, but this could be it, Charlie. Oh, and Docs spots the player, finds the frag. It's all on Ficus. I think this one's all said and done, Charlie. Oh, he's forced out into the Molotov, and Chris 7 being the final blow there for one pin. But absolutely amazing game. Obviously, we do have another matchup on our hands. It is Pro Gamers versus Toxic World, so that should be an absolutely amazing one as well. So we'll just be back after the break. Hello there, guys. How are we all doing today? I'm just gonna try and swap Charlie's camera once again. It's not working. Oh no. Either way,
It's always something, isn't it?
always a reason.
Always something with one of us.
Yeah, but we are going to be going into our. There we go. We are going to be going into our final match of the day, but there is plenty more CS to be seen. Obviously, Pro Gamers versus Toxic World, so that should be a very nice matchup. Both of these teams, in fact, can still make their way to playoffs, but it's going to be tough for both of them. Obviously, kind of reliant on other teams' fixtures, etc. But it is going to be a nice one here to see. I do believe Toxic World, they're going to have to win this one fairly dominantly if they do want to get themselves to playoffs. Obviously, Pro Gamers, they've got themselves 2 more games to be played here. So, yes, they have 2 opportunities, but they need to win them both to even have that chance of getting to playoffs. So, it is going to be a tough one for both of these teams. I feel like, me personally, I'd have to say Toxic World are much more likely to get themselves to playoffs just due to the fact that they kind of only have to win this one game. But yeah, what are your thoughts going into this one?
I mean, you mentioned before the game that obviously it will slightly depend on VP Prodigy's game later today. But if nothing changes, you said they need to win this, what, 16-4?
16-4, yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, right now it's looking like there's a pretty realistic chance neither team make it to playoffs. I think Pro Gamers, they need to win both their games with a
very
plus
dominant.
20.
Yeah, no, not even plus 20. It's got to be plus 20, 24. Because the current team who are in that 16th position are plus 3.
Yes, what are the chances of that? So there's a good chance neither team can do it, but there's a good-looking start from Pro Gamers.
Yeah, Remel with a nice double there. Miracle to post it up towards short. Already been dinked down very low. Zelot, Zorizon, and Kisley going to try and make this one work here. But yeah, as you mentioned,
the thing, we can watch this game, and if it's at all close, neither of these teams can make it to playoffs.
Yeah, it has to be dominant.
Yeah, I mean, Pro Gamers, you've got to think at worst case scenario, they've got to win this one plus 8 round difference and win the last game 16-0. And what are the chances of that?
They're impossible. I feel like we've only seen a couple 16-0s in the whole of the SCL, so preying on one when the pressure's at its highest, really going to be tough. But obviously for Toxic World, they need to win this one 16-4. We need a dominant game here, as you mentioned, or neither team's going to make it.
Yeah, if it's at all close, I mean, without even both these teams playing their last games, we could just sort of confirm, yeah, both of them can't make it to playoffs. But it is a scary sight.
There is another team that can make it as well. That is Thunder Flash. Currently, they have a great round difference. Currently plus 14. So if they just win their last game, they do have a strong chance of making it to playoffs. But yeah, the final 3 teams that could somehow kind of make it are obviously Toxic World, Thunder Flash, and obviously Pro Gamers. So obviously we're watching the matchup of 2 of these 3 teams here now, but it's going to be pretty incredible. I wonder if we are going to be seeing them progress.
Yeah, I mean, what a storyline it'd be for whoever is able to, if any of these teams are able to make it to playoffs. Zelot.
Imagine though,
shocking as they came.
Imagine Pro Gamers win this one 16-8. And then it goes to 15-0 and then lose the pistol. Oh, that would be devastating. Am I cruel to think...
Who are they playing? Who are Pro Gamers playing in the last game? Do you know?
I think they're playing Royals. Maybe that's Thunder Flash. I'll look.
I think it's VP Prodigy that are playing Royals. I don't know how many games Royals have left to play.
Thunder Flash are playing against Pro Gamers, in fact. Oh, that is dicey. Oh. Of course. How poetic. We wouldn't have it any other way.
You have to think, Fred. If Toxic World win this one and Pro Gamers are in a spot where they just can't make it to playoffs, they sort of could. I don't know if they forfeit because obviously you're in a position where there's that sort of that grey area, aren't you? Where you don't get relegated, but you don't go to playoffs. So I feel like these teams have got to sort of just play for that. Maybe if this game does get too close, they've just got to play for that. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Nice start here though for Toxic World. Obviously 2 rounds up so far, and we're surely going to see a third as it is just the eco from Pro Gamers. But yeah, that's a really interesting thing to think about. I kind of love that these are going to be the final games. They're all between the teams that could potentially make it.
Just adds that storyline, doesn't it? Makes it so. And the thing is, obviously, we could even have of made that happen. These sort of games have been known throughout the whole season. People knew they were going to be playing these guys last. It just happens to have really fit perfectly together. Pro Game is in a really tricky situation here. Do have an AK, but on a player that's 6 HP, why they haven't tried to swap sort of weapons around?
Yeah, not too sure why either, but either way, Toxic World should eventually close out this one. Kind of just waiting around, potentially just looking for these kills towards long. Not really sure why they aren't progressing any further, but I guess you never really know.
I'm going to send Kisleyan as a bit of a probe. As soon as he sort of confirms that B side is clear, that might not even come to that. Remill, all that left, does get found as well.
AK has been retrieved too. Toxic World, they keep 4 players alive, so the money's looking good for them.
Pro Gamer's first full buy. Orps out on Miracle.
Certainly going to need to see Miracle step up in this one. S7 as well hasn't found a kill yet. Just a classic B rush.
I'd love to see that. It would be such a bold call to make on the first full buy.
It certainly could work out for them. I feel like sometimes the most simplistic of strategies are the ones that work out the best. Not working out too great in this one as Tegbis finds a lovely double. S7 posted up towards tunnels. Able to find his first kill of this one. Molotov will be dropped towards the back of the side. Oh, the spam is perfect from Neolife. Brings it back to a 3 versus 3. Obviously the B-bomb site being a very tough one to retake. The bomb will go down now. Oh, I like this plant spot here from Zelot.
Remill had a good idea of the molly, but Neolife is too far forward for it to hit him. Zelot takes a lot of aggression, does get found. S7 gonna have a lot of work to do here towards tunnels. Neolife finds one, finds the second. It's all on the Orb of Miracle.
14 HP as well. There's no need for S7 to even peek here. Oh, Miracle's baited the shot, baited him in. Doesn't really have time to work
kit
with.
though, Fred. Oh, Miracle does actually have a kit. Just tapping in, not even looking at the right position. Round's gonna be done. He gets taken down as well. Toxic World, Fred, that was a 3 versus 5. Tegbis found the first 2 kills. It looked really good for them. The fact that Tegbis re-peeked from window, got found, and the spam perfect through the smoke. Toxic World really won that from nowhere.
It just came from, you know, those picks. Well, I say picks, plural. Just came from the pick from S7. Eliminating the AWP, just making it possible for them to try and take some more control. And then obviously that double from Neolife. Neolife's currently 7-1. Tegbis going to be aggressing here. Does find Zelot. Nice opening pick here. Once again, just going to be this B hit. Oh, the spams of the Deagles. Certainly working out for this Pro Gamer side so far. Will just be 3 players towards tunnels and 1 outside the doors. S7 tasked with finding these frags. Does get the first. Oh, and the spray from S7. You'd never know he was an AWP. That was a lovely 3-man spray down there.
Miracle, all that remains. Could find S7 and then things start to get a bit dicey, but Neolife is playing in the exact same position he played last time. Will Miracle expect it? Has been heard to pick that up and does get found. 5-0 star for Toxic World. Fred, they want to make it doable.
Yeah, they certainly do want to get themselves to playoffs. I feel like Toxic World, they're always a side that I feel like potentially haven't met their kind of, I don't want to say expectations, but haven't progressed to the level that we, you know, could potentially see them at. They're always kind of on the brink of playoffs. They're never in a kind of guaranteed situation. I feel like potentially this is the one for them to do it.
Great aggression out towards long. Miracle stuck truck. Molly is going to land. He's just sort of tucked between these smokes. Flash is going to come over. Try to allow him to get out. He finds one. Somehow Miracle found out more and more numbers. Man advantage goes to the side of Pro Gamers. I think this is going to be a matchup where sort of both teams are really going to fight and fight till the very, very end, just because they're aware this round difference is so important. Kisley 1 versus 2 now.
Needs to find Miracle here though. Oh, that is disgusting. I wish I was able to do that.
Look how far Tegbis is. He rotated away. He smokes. Pretty dire, but doesn't matter.
This was a 1 versus 3, Charlie. Surely Kisley can't win this one. Take this. His position. Oh, he has been spotted, in fact. We'll drop the Molotov. Kisley out in the open. And what a clutch there from Kisley. Can retrieve the AWP as well. And Toxic World, they keep this win streak going. 6-0 currently.
What's that going to do to the mentality of pro gamers? They got 1 versus 3 to get their first round on the board. Sort of positioning is good from all of the players, and yet just get caught out.
They just took those individual duels. I feel like it wasn't really played as a team, as a unit. They certainly did get caught out. Miracle aggressing towards middle, has spotted 2, in fact. Just hits the shot onto Neolife, but certainly not enough to take him down as of yet. Flash coming through towards middle. Tunnels has been taken by pro gamers, but obviously, as aggression taken from the CT's one part of the map, we know that Toxic World are going to be aggressing elsewhere. Pro gamers, though, they do find the opening pick onto Zealot. That is Zabi with the Deagle. Hasn't retrieved the weapon yet. Secondary smoke has been thrown, and now Horizon going to be aggressing. Flash comes through, finds the first and the second. Neolife as well takes down Miracle. And instantly, even after finding the opening pick, pro gamers can't find anything else, and that is a great kind of restabilization from Toxic World.
Yeah, rounds like that, you normally see a few kills can at least go the way of the ones on the weaker buys, but just no. Toxic World just really sort of overwhelmed them and looks so strong. Early tag there from S7.
And Neolife aggressing once again. Neolife's currently 12-2. Certainly the top performer on this Toxic World side. And what is going to be the solution to this problem that is Neolife? Because they certainly are struggling against him. Oh, and he finds one more. Information on the third as well. Tegbis will eventually take him down, but the aggression will be coming out towards B now as Zealot takes down Miracle. The bomb has been planted, and Tegbis, all that remains, 1 versus 4 now. And look at the aggression here on Toxic World. They are going for this hunt. They are hungry for this kill. Haven't found it yet, but surely Tegbis, oh, runs out of ammo, unfortunate. But Toxic World, they've won the half here on the T side of Dust. They are looking absolutely amazing here. And it's clear to see Toxic World. They know what's on the line in this one. They know they have to win it dominantly. They're doing a great job at it.
Yeah, if they can win it even more dominantly, I think there's still a chance Thunder Flash can qualify, and we can see both Toxic World and Thunder Flash qualify.
That would be absolutely ridiculous. They would have to win it. I want to say 16-2.
I'll have a quick check.
16-1.
Just to double check.
16-1. They'd have to win it 16-1 for both Thunder Flash and Toxic World to progress.
But it just shows, even if Toxic World win this dominantly, they're still not safe. Just the fact that Thunder Flash, like you mentioned, really great sort of round difference.
It's plus 15. There's nothing that Toxic World can kind of do against them.
16-1, that's scary.
It's scary, and the only reason it's scary is because it's somewhat possible. It's currently 9-0. We're seeing a very dominant game so far, but I feel like that's where the real kind of scare factor comes through. And obviously, I feel like it's not going to be it's not going to be, you know, pro gamers that are worried or Toxic World that are worried. I think it's going to be the teams that are kind of on the cusp, kind of just in the playoff spot.
Obviously, they're all going to be terrified.
Yes, Cyber MD, Monte Carlo, SD and Victor, they're the teams to really worry here. And in fact, we could see SD and Victor, we could see Toxic World kind of secure their place in playoffs, but they've got to win it 16-0.
Yeah, that's looks very tough, especially after a round like this. Neolife, important trade, takes a lot of damage for it though. 3 versus 2, this has definitely been pro gamers' best chance.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to kind of where Toxic World are going to end off the back of this game, there's so many hypotheticals based on other teams' results, but they know they've got to win this one dominantly. And now it's on Horizon. 1 versus 2 here. Can in fact get the bomb down, can cross as well. No utility on Remo and Zabi. We do have a nade on Horizon. This could be the first round found though for pro gamers.
Molly in the smoke's being picked up.
There it is.
Horizon does just peek in to doors. It looks like he was advantaged teammate for the first round for pro gamers. So 16-1, still doable. 16-0's off the cards now. But this is where things get scary for Toxic World. See, they're not invincible. They can still be vested just like any other team here. And pro gamers have found their first round. Obviously, to mention Toxic World, they need to win this game 16-4.
Pro gamers
to qualify.
They can't qualify anymore. Their playoff run's done. That is unfortunate. Because obviously we mentioned they had to win 16-8 and then 16-0. It's already over, Charlie.
Oh, that is... Yeah, that's not a good feeling for pro gamers. So...
Do you think they know it, though?
I'll be honest, I think they probably do, yeah. I think they probably worked it out and realised. I think there is still a chance for pro gamers if they can win both their games and VP Prodigy lose like 16-0. But there's sort of there's just so many sort of circumstances that need to sort of come through for that to happen. And yeah, chances are you can't imagine it will work out, but I think they know. I think they're just going to try to play the best counter-strike they can, put as many rounds on the board as possible. Zelot, nice find. Play it towards truck, though.
I love that from Zelot, just jumping into CT.
Get found, but the site has been taken now. Remo, who's waiting towards long for so much time, just delaying. Kissy in a great position. Tegbis not even expecting it. An advantage now for Toxic World. So pro gamers, their streak might stop at 1.
This was a 4 versus 3 for pro gamers, in fact. After they found that pick onto Zelot.
Ooh. 7 with a missed shot. You don't want to give him a second chance. Hopefully we'll shut you down.
Toxic World, they found double digits here. Horizon very much aware of Zangetsu's position. And they found 10 on the T side, Charlie. I feel like Toxic World, they can win this one dominantly. They can keep it going. But as you mentioned, all it takes, 4 rounds. And then, you know, they might not make it to playoffs either.
That's the thing. Considering it's a best of 1, you've got to think how mentally draining this game will be for Toxic World. Because they got to win it in a way where they just can't slow down in any round. They have to have full focus every single moment they've got.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, they've got to play all of these rounds to perfection, but as well, they can't really, you know, you take a risk and it doesn't pan out, that's it done, that's the round over. But then in kind of a similar situation, you might need to start taking risks for you to win these rounds. Oh, what a shot from Zabi, in fact.
3v3, this round is still doable for pro gamers, could be unraveled here from Neolife's flank. Final player in Miracles coming from tunnels. Would love to pick up an AK, but might just taste the bullets instead. 11-1. Don't forget, 16-1 Fred is what will basically confirm. I think it will, in fact, 16-1 will actually confirm Toxic World do make it to playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much guaranteed.
And a 16-4 will give them a good chance, but they'll have to hope that Thunder Flash do lose their next game. Miracle starts things off well. Takes out Zelot, Kisley.
So many flashes there. Kisley, Remo was blinded pretty much the whole time there, and Kisley could have swung at any moment. Obviously, Kisley still finding the frag, but it could have been done in a much easier fashion. Nice find there from Miracle.
And they're the risks you're talking about. Sort of just pushing through that smoke. Grey screened. S7 does tag Miracle down, but no kill found. Still man advantage for pro gamers. Miracle falls here.
Yeah, and you know, it's exactly as I mentioned. Realistically, pro gamers, you know, they can just play this one. They can play this game kind of normally, naturally. They don't have to take any risks. They don't have to play kind of any different level of CS. But Toxic World, for them to consistently be winning rounds, you're going to have to take somewhat of a gamble. You're going to have to take somewhat of a risk. And that's where the problems come through. And no longer Toxic World are in a position where they can secure themselves playoffs. I think as well, Charlie, I mentioned before, Thunderflash, they're facing off against pro gamers. Seeing as pro gamers, as we mentioned, their kind of playoff run's over, what if they don't take that game so seriously? What if they kind of just give it to their opponents?
I mean, what's the scary thing is that the hype in this game isn't going to be for when a team hits 16. It's going to be for if pro gamers can find 4.
Yeah, definitely.
And each round that gets closer and closer is just Toxic World getting closer to failing to make it to playoffs.
Yeah, but also, obviously you mentioned the VP Prodigy game. You know, them not finding success. If they lose in a dominant fashion, then you could kind of see it. You could see Toxic World get through anyway. There's just so many different situations where we can see teams progressing. Z-Lot, though, trying to open things up towards A. Does find Remil. Zabi takes down Kisley with the Molotov. So many players towards CT here. And Z-Lot getting aggressive. Oh, finds the first. Searching for the second. But it's a 4 versus 2 now. And the painful thing is for this Toxic World side, they've looked absolutely incredible. And for them to look so dominant in potentially their final match here, Charlie, and then not make it to playoffs, you've got to imagine, you know, how kind of saddening that would feel.
I mean, it's disappointing because Toxic World, I do think you sort of had it right. I feel like you were too nice in saying so. I do think we've seen Toxic World in the SCL and they've not met the expectations that I know we were definitely expecting from them. And it does feel like they're just at a position where they're sort of maybe in a transition period, in a bit of a rebuild where they're not sort of finding that perfect form, but there's still glimpses. This is one of those glimpses that we should have been seeing throughout the whole season for them.
Well, I think as well, Charlie, they're always just on the cusp of success, but they never seem to be able to grasp it. And that is kind of the disappointing side of this side. Because I feel like they you know, always have these bright sparks, as you mentioned. You know, look at this game. They're looking so dominant. You got to remember, Charlie, this is an SCL Challenger Division matchup. This isn't kind of just a regular PUG and ESEA game. Look how well Toxic Well have done. This is the T side of Dust. But why couldn't they do this earlier on in the season? Why couldn't they show off this dominance, you know, in previous games?
This false buy of pro gamers could actually cause so much damage. 2 scouts, then MP9, and a FAMAS, and they're doing so much work. The scouts are continuing to reign supreme.
Once again, it is Neolife to put in the work. Kisley towards Car. Does find one, brings it to a 3 versus 2. Oh, but he gets taken down by Zabi, and all that remains is Horizon and Neolife, but Zangetsu just gifted a kill to the T's unnecessarily. Molotov will land that, cut off the rotations, and they can in fact just go towards the B bomb site through middle. Zabi, not worried about that Molotov whatsoever, still with his sights set towards long. Here we go up short. Zabi's heard the steps, found the first, but Neolife very quick on the trigger of the AWP. And there we have the first half, 13-2. Toxic World, they're 3 rounds away from closing this out and potentially making their way into playoffs. But you've got to remember, Charlie, all it takes, 3 rounds going the way of pro gamers and Toxic World, potentially it's all over for them.
It's scary, especially these pistol rounds. I feel like these pistol rounds are so up in the air. They're so tough to predict who can win them because I feel like you can see some ridiculous clutches and ridiculous shots. Even in these heavily disadvantaged situations, just a sort of Glock spam can just somehow find a quick couple of kills out of nowhere. So these pistols are definitely going to be a scary part for Toxic World. But 3 rounds away from closing out this game, 2 rounds away, 3 rounds. In fact, 3 rounds either way, isn't it? Pro gamers, if they can win 3 rounds,
it's done.
Toxic World can't make it to playoffs.
Toxic
World can find 3 rounds first. They secure, or at least for now, they secure themselves playoffs.
And make sure you guys do check out the stream. I do believe it will be Flamboyant to kind of close out the day and see how it all goes. So it is going to be a very interesting one. But Zorizon tasked with finding this opening pick. Lovely flash, but only able to get one. Tegbis now retrieve the USP, and he's somewhat searching towards middle. Flash comes through, and he takes him down. S7 finds one. Tegbis trapped out in the open, but somehow not been found yet. Remil with the Glock takes him down. Neolife and Kisly, all that remain. We mentioned the importance of this round for Toxic World, and Kisly getting found. Oh, and Tegbis, he's done so much work in this round, and Pro Gamers 2 rounds away from taking away the opportunity for Toxic World to get themselves to playoffs.
If Toxic World force bite, they could give up so much.
What are you doing in this
just going for the ecos. I think they have to eco. You give up 4 if you eco and at least get yourself on a full buy, but if you force and lose it,
It's done.
It's done. You're not making it to playoffs, so they have to go for an eco. We're seeing this mid push. There is a possibility it could work out.
Neolife, all that remains, has retrieved the Galil. Surely gonna get taken down here. The one benefit the Toxic World have going into this next round, look at the buy, Charlie. We've got 2 Galils, we've got a scout in play. Pro Gamers is not perfect, and Zabi's invested in another Galil. Zangetsu could have dropped an AK over, in fact. We see the AWP on S7, the glass cannon. Toxic World, they know that they can't have any limitations here. They can't take kind of any liberties. They're not going to put S7 on MP9 or on M4. Just bring out the AWP.
Zabi crossed into pit. He does it successfully. A 1-for-1 trade. You have to think it favors the T's at this point. They're on a weaker weapon. Someone can upgrade Dan. It's just going to continue to split the defense of Toxic World. S7 has to find some impact with this AWP. Zorizon coming over towards long. Zorizon has to leave his teammate. Has to hope they can do something. As Zorizon gets one more before falling. 2 versus 2, Fred.
And look at Neolife. Might get caught out here. Zangetsu posted up towards mid doors. A lot of util on the T's. And out of the 8 games in the regular season, this will be the most important round the Toxic World will play. As this defines whether they've got a chance for playoffs or wherever it's all over. Neolife will take down Zangetsu. Tegbis, he did so much work on the pistol. Oh, and he drops him down low. It's all on S7, the unarmored player with the AWP in play. Having to close this one out.
Oh, he's gone with a Galil, unarmored. One bullet could take Tegbis down. S7 just going to be biding his time. Waiting out the util.
Doesn't have a kit, Charlie. What do you do in this situation? You have to go hunting for the frag. But S7 doesn't want to take any risks. Doesn't want to push past. Doesn't want to get timing on. But in fact, ooh, he does get somewhat of a timing. But as the time ticks away, Charlie. Oh, it's over! Toxic World. I don't think they can progress any further. Pro Gamers. Both of these teams, I think it's done for them. I think their playoff run is over.
I think Toxic World still can, but they're relying on VP Prodigy losing significantly, at least by 10 rounds.
Yeah, no, the chance of that, very low.
And that's, I think that's with Toxic World sort of winning this game 16-5. It might be more like 8 rounds or something, but either way, it's got to win it dominantly, and they've got to win it soon. But yeah, what are the chances that Toxic World are going to fall?
As you mentioned, if Toxic World win this one 16-5, they're going to need VP Prodigy to lose their game by 9 rounds.
And Fred, you got to think they're playing rules. A team that's 1-6. And, I mean, the only win the Royals have was a forfeit win. They've been dominated in plenty of the games, so the chances are for Toxic World, they've really sort of been thinned out, and they're not going to win this one either unless S7 can pull off some sort of miracle.
You got to imagine then, Charlie, are we going to be seeing kind of the current lineup of teams getting to playoffs? Are we going to see them proceed? Thunder Flash being the only other team that can progress now. You've got to imagine.
I mean, no disrespect to Pro Gamers, but they're not really offering us much in this one, are they? They're not exactly showing too much to make us think that Thunder Flash won't be able to best them. Thunder Flash, all they need is a win. Doesn't matter how close it is, how dominant it is. Just a win will qualify for them to playoffs. So, I mean, there is still a real chance, though, that none of the 3 teams that could have made it to playoffs will.
Yeah, could just be seeing a situation where we see Toxic World close this one out, but, the round difference isn't enough to get them there, and then Pro Gamers beat Thunder Flash.
Yeah, we thought it was possible. We could see 2 teams fail to make it to playoffs in this game. But for so long, for such a long time, it felt like Toxic World could have done it.
And I think as well, we mentioned at the start, this had to be a dominant game. It had to be a real kind of one-sided affair. And although it's, looking very dominant, currently, 13-6, and Toxic World look as though they can take this one. A 13-6, although very dominant, it's not enough.
Yeah, and it just shows sort of how the rest of Toxic World's game's gone this season. The fact that they find themselves in this position, it is disappointing.
Got to imagine though, Charlie, Toxic World, in the games that they kind of have found initial success, they were pretty close, but the fact they lost 16-0 to Bax, obviously it kind of cancels out by the forfeit win they got from Paloma. But a lot of their games have come down to the wire. Both their real victories, 16-13.
I mean, yeah, you just have to think about it like that. If they even got 5 rounds against Bax,
even 3 rounds against Bax, they would still be in playoffs. They still be in contention for playoffs right now.
It really does show that just these sort of minor details, and when round difference is sort of a big factor of a league like this, where there's so many competitive teams, so many players all sort of fighting for the same spot, you just can't make any mistakes. You've got to give it 100% throughout the whole season. Miracle should fall here.
I'll be honest with you, Charlie, I feel like round difference plays a much larger factor than a lot of people think. The round difference has been the kind of cost for both of these teams not making it to playoffs.
Miracle is still pushing.
He had somewhat of a chance there. It was about, what 2 seconds left? He could have brought out the P250, but I like the confidence from S7. Toxic World, they do find 14, 2 away from closing this one out. But it's sad to see this is how this game's going to go. Because, even, obviously, say we saw Pro Gamers win this one 16-2 or something like that, we could have been seeing, still somewhat of a storyline for both of these teams. But once we saw Pro Gamers, win that 5th round, kind of, the game's no longer holding that much importance. Remil, though, that is a very nice opening pick onto Z-Lot.
But I think it definitely does show sort of the state of both of these teams. The fact that even if Toxic World won the game 16-4, there's still a solid chance they couldn't make it to playoffs. And the fact that they needed to win it 16-1 to sort of secure themselves in that playoff spot, it does show that there have been a few more disappointing games from them this season, which is just unfortunate to see. But Toxic World, they are against the Deagles. Short is under the wraps of Pro Gamers, though. The Molly's going to force them back. Kissley could have a few kills to find here.
Somehow struggling there. Zabi and Zangetsu able to get one apiece. Oh, but S7 reigning terror with the AWP. Oh, and Kissley just going to be spamming away with the P2000. Oh, they haven't won the round. That is very unfortunate. Don't be a loser by a diffuser. S7 certainly could have invested in one. Has 2.5k to work with. I never understand that. It always baffles me when I see...
As somebody who always does that.
You never buy a kit?
I do, but I'm not buying one if I have enough money for it all the time.
I'm always
especially as an all-pro, I feel like. I think just if you've got sort of 3 kits on your team, if you have enough kits, then the chances are... What are the chances that you're going to be the one in the clutch? And also the fact that you're not going to run over a teammate's body. You do understand it. It is always awful when it does happen. But yeah, it is a bit unfortunate. Toxic World are still primed to take this one, though. double the rounds of pro gamers. 2 rounds needed to close it out.
I'll be honest with you, Charlie, though. Like, I get what you're saying, but in the same way, it's $400. Like, if you've not got enough to bring out an AWP comfortably without those $400, because the difference in the $400 means that you're either getting out an AWP or not, but it means you're not going to have much util to work with either. So I say just get the kit out.
You clearly, I can tell you've never been an AWPer.
Yeah, but how...
I mean, we've seen it in this game from S7. As soon as you sort of hit that amount of money where you're able to get an AWP out, regardless of what else you'll have, util, kit, armor, you just do it. S7 is going to be tested here, though. It does pass the first test, as well as the mid players. All leveled up here.
Man advantage now for pro gamers. And I feel like, as well, you can see the effect that 5th round has on this Toxic World side. I feel like both teams here, the only thing they're really playing for now is pride. Obviously, they probably should be in that kind of, as you mentioned, the kind of grey area where they're not going to be progressing, not going to be falling. Tap of the bomb here, Miracle. Going to be jiggling. Oh, Kissley just needs to swing. We'll find the frag. Nearly another situation where the lack of a kit could have costed them.
Not as close this time, but could have been. Give it a couple extra seconds. Match point found now from Toxic World, but yeah, it definitely feels like both teams have sort of just
sunken,
slowed down a bit. Yeah, just sort of slumped a bit more. Just both being aware that each other have sort of killed
the dream,
their playoff runs. Yeah, definitely killed the dream, killed the hopes that it could have happened. But I mean, pro gamers, they're not in an ideal spot. They lose this one and lose the next, there is a chance they don't even make it to that grey area.
Yeah, that's kind of scary as well. Obviously, pro gamers are still going to be fighting in this one. I feel like Toxic World, though, I feel like it's safe to say they should be fairly safe, especially as this is just their final game. And seeing as they have found 15 as well, we know that the round difference isn't going to be that detrimental if Toxic World even somehow loses. But they've got 8 opportunities to close this one out. They've got a man advantage in this one, and seeing as Miracle still wielding the Deagle, we could be seeing a situation where Toxic World close out in this one.
Well, we're sort of waiting for this round. I mean, I know Toxic World are probably going to take this here. But has there been any teams... Obviously, this is going to be our last game of the regular season, I think.
Yeah.
Is there any teams in the regular season that's really impressed you?
I think...
Maybe someone that you weren't expecting? I feel like we saw Into the Breach. I think everybody was thinking, yeah, they're gonna be definitely near the top.
I think Bax, they've done absolutely amazingly this season. 7-1. I was
going to mention Bax as well.
Yeah, I feel like Bax are always a team that kind of in that kind of 6-2, 3-5 situation, but they've performed, you know, really well this season. And you've got to imagine, Charlie, this is probably the hardest season there's been. Obviously, the teams have just got better and better. Obviously, the implementation of Into the Breach, team that kind of just joined the season and then went 8-0, kind of really stunned everyone, really. But yeah, I think Bax have done really well. Is there a side, obviously you spoke about teams that have kind of surprised me in the positive manner. Is there any team that you've kind of looked at and gone, this is not what I thought from you guys, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think there has been a few. It's maybe a few more than I'm willing to admit. I think Quasar have been quite disappointing.
Yeah, 1-7.
Yeah, I think we've seen Quasar on previous seasons and they were very impressive. I do believe it's a pretty different roster now. But yeah, considering that they previously have looked significantly better, I mean, they had 6-2, 5-3s, and now 1-7. It's, yeah, a bit of a shock. I mean, even VP Prodigy have been a little disappointing. Obviously, they can still end at 5-3, but I just think what we've seen from them previously. Another one's been Eternal Fire Academy. They looked very good on the first game of the season, but since then, never really sort of seemed to hit that peak massively.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Eternal Fire Academy, especially with such a big org behind you, you'd kind of assume or kind of expect a little more. But I don't know. For me, I think, you know, obviously, you know, us being UK, we've kind of seen the Royals' success in you know, both their kind of ESCA and also other tournaments. I feel like Royals are a team that I kind of expected a little more from Obviously, currently 1-6. Really haven't had the greatest season so far. And I feel
Still
like,
got one pin in EKO to carry the UK banner though.
yeah.
One pin have really impressed me. I mean,
One pin have looked amazing.
Yeah. We've all the games we've watched with one pin. They've really looked top teams. Really well oiled, well drilled team. So yeah, they're definitely ones who I think this season they're going to be looking for something more. Obviously, we mentioned they did fall last season to Iron Branch. And that was quite a disappointing game for them. It felt like they could have closed it out. It feels like they should have closed it out, really. But I think this is their sort of redemption arc this season. This is where they should be trying to make it to final, trying to win the whole thing, really.
Oh, Neolife with a lovely double hit. The rotation from Zerizon as well. 5 versus 2 now. I think this one's over, Charlie. And Neolife, he's able to get a kill before getting taken down. Oh, and we've got a player on the flank and also one coming from CT. Z-Lot surely going to find this kill. I think it's over, Charlie. Oh, S7 steals it away, in fact. But yeah, Toxic Well, they win 16-9, and although a fairly convincing record, it's not enough. Obviously, neither team, I believe, will be able to get themselves to playoffs, but still a great game. I feel like, you know, Toxic Well, they're going to be happy with the performance, but wasn't enough. And I feel like sometimes in those situations, you do just need a little bit more kind of oomph on your side. But obviously, we kind of spoken about the season quite a lot, that game, and kind of the league rankings and the leaderboards. You know, why don't we have a little bit of a run through it now, Charlie?
Yeah,
I can bring it up on stream, in fact.
Get that up. Show our production quality there.
Yeah.
What are you doing? One of these? Oh, this is cheeky.
Oh yeah, I don't think I can bring it up otherwise, but
Either way, I like this.
nice little.
Let's
look
see
through.
what you're seeing. Got a bit of D's and music on the taskbar.
Oh yeah, mate, gotta have the tunes going.
I mean, we can have a quick run for basically who's made it to playoffs, can't we?
Yeah, so obviously, I feel like the top 12 teams fairly convincingly are going to be through. Obviously, you mentioned VP Prodigy in a situation where they could potentially fall. Obviously, we see a couple teams with that 4-4 record. Thunderflash, though, although in 22nd, certainly a team to look at. That plus 14 win round difference. They can get
Look how
themselves
many
to
teams are 4-4, so it's really up in the air. It shows that this round difference is so important. But obviously, we mentioned VP Prodigy. There is a chance they don't qualify, but basically they need to lose by 11, 12 rounds. And what's the chance of that? They're playing as Royals, who their only win has been a forfeit win. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. Toxic World, you can see them there just on the border. Really unfortunate stuff. Similar with Incilio as well. I feel like they had a good start.
It's a good job as well. 3 teams, all with a -1 round difference. What would happen? Who would go through?
I think they do it head-to-head then.
Do they?
If either of them have played each other, I think they would do it head-to-head, potentially. Good job. It says they've lost 3 games in a row. That is so unfortunate. And then went from 4-1 to 4-4. That is devastating stuff. But I feel like we've definitely got... I feel like we've seen a few surprises. Let's be honest, there's definitely been a few surprises, a few upsets, but we've definitely got the main brunt of the teams I think we were expecting to make it to playoffs here. The thing is, something I'm interested in, you've obviously pointed out Bax as a team that have really impressed you. Obviously, they've had some good regular seasons in the past, but they've always sort of failed to impress in playoffs. I believe in their 2 seasons they've played, they've gone 0-1 in playoffs and then 1-1, so they made it to the quarterfinals before falling. I think this is one where they're going to want to try to make it one step better, at least semis at this point. But either way, great regular season that we've seen. Playoffs right around the corner. Today's still not done though, is it, Fred?
No, and I feel like if you were SD and Victor, you'd be a little bit shaky right now because they are obviously in that 16th place. They would be the team to fall if Thunderflash are victorious, and I feel like Thunderflash, they certainly could take that game as we mentioned before, but that has been it from us. If you guys are enjoying the SCL, make sure to drop a follow on the Twitch and also the Twitter so you guys get those notifications about which teams are going through, which teams are getting themselves to playoffs. But I do believe we will be seeing the kind of the final close of today by Flamboyant. So make sure you guys show them some love on the stream, but that has been it from us. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the playoffs.